I like the little bit of folklore that associates Alan Turing with the invention of computers. And the breaking of the German secret codes. Which service he performed with a guy named Jack Good, who I really admire a lot. He lived a long life. He taught generations of spooks, the American intelligence community, these algorithms that divined probabilities from statistical frequencies of the co-occurrence of letters in texts. And this was the code-breaking work that he did with Alan Turing.
The probability of the words appearing in the text? Or
yes.
Why is it
He was
spooky?
training, well, because you call these people who work as code breakers, you call them spooks. They're spies.
Oh,
Really?
right.
No kidding. So that those NSA computers that listen to every telephone conversation in the world and try to find patterns are using AI algorithms that were initiated by Alan Turing and Jack Good, breaking the German ciphers.
I see.
And I like that I know that story. I like that story. I almost got to talk to Jack Good once. I phoned him up. The guy was in his 90s. I don't know why. I phoned his office.
You were in your 20s or something?
No, I think it was when we were living on Gravely Street.
Oh.
I phoned his office down in Virginia.
Well, you were already crazy. That's why.
Of course I'm crazy. Yeah.
That's why you called him just...
No, he's just...
Yeah, so...
But he wasn't at the office that day. He was retired. He was an emeritus professor, but he still had his office there and the secretary. Was sorry to say he wouldn't be in today. Was there anything in particular? I said, no, just,
Yeah.
It would have been nice to just have a word with him. One of the unsung heroes, actually, that man. Yeah. And I used to have a book of his scientific papers called Good Thinking. He was quite prolific, and there's an interesting and there's a fun little joke. Two mathematicians at this conference, and somehow they got to talking about Jack Good and how he hadn't published anything for a while, because he used to publish a lot in many different areas. And one of the two said to the other, well, it's an ill good that blows no wind.
Say it again.
It's an ill good that blows no wind.
I see.
Yeah. But he did know his stuff, and he had a lot to do with converting the statistics profession as a whole over to this appreciation of what's called Bayesian reasoning, or inverse probability, which is often held up to be the learning algorithm.
Yeah.
So for machine learning,
yeah,
you cannot do better than Bayes' rule.
Tell me.
It's just a way of taking what is experienced and turning it into expectations about what will be experienced in the future. That's all it is. And actually, that it's called Bayes' rule is completely a misnomer. It should be called Laplace's algorithm.
How does it differ from probability theory, based on statistics or something?
It's a part of probability theory.
Yeah.
But the philosophy of probability has been divided between Bayesians and frequentists.
I like that. Frequentists.
Yes,
I want to be a frequentist.
No, they're like religious wars within this.
No, I see.
Yeah.
So the frequentists would be like statistical people.
They were a style of statistical work based on what they called hypothesis testing. It's also called subjective probability, so they are called subjectivists.
Frequentists. I'm going to use this word. There are so many frequentists. Maybe it's a good thing. So, this Bayesian thing.
Well,
based on
it's
experience.
all about prior probabilities and posterior probabilities. Prior probabilities are what you expect of the future. The expectations then are like a model, and then there is what happens, and there is difference between what actually happens and the expectations. And in that difference, the difference is folded back into, and it adjusts
expectations.
The expectations. And this way we go through time. Experience becomes compiled into networks of associations which represent our expectations of what the world is.
Well, is it based on, because that's probably how we operate,
Yeah.
we kind of recognize the model.
Yeah.
What's new about it? I mean, what's the big deal? Because it's applied on, it's a self-adjusting system.
It is. It's not the first such that we know of. I mean, there you would go back to Babylonians. And there was adaptive algorithm, an iterative adaptive algorithm for finding square roots. And then, I mean, it appears in Plato. It's in Plato. And then it appears...
How is it in Plato?
Well, I was just reading this the past week. A dialogue called Theaetetus. Theaetetus was a younger geometer, mathematician of that gang, Plato's gang, and their whole issue. I hope you're not recording this, but I don't know.
Oh, I am, but I'm not going to use it.
Yeah, but the whole issue was we have numbers.
Yeah.
But then, and then there's the things we can do with numbers, arithmetic things. But then there's geometry. And Plato's first dialogue was called the Meno, and it was this interaction of Socrates and a slave boy. And it concerned this problem. Here's this square, and it's like 2 feet on the side, right? So how do you make a square twice the area?
Yeah.
And to do that, it was to demonstrate that this unlettered 10-year-old slave boy had the direct knowledge, this doctrine of Plato's, anamnesis, self-remembering, could find the knowledge in himself to tell him the truth, to guide him to the truth, to guide him to solve this problem. With some nudges from Socrates, who's acting as the midwife of this process. But
Did they give him some drugs or something?
No, it's just asking him some questions.
Why,
saying, consider this.
Why,
now look at this. Now, what happens if you do that? And no, that's. You can see what's wrong with what you just did. And the kid goes, yeah. And the kid eventually discovers for himself, which was one of the a breakthrough in understanding, not only for this kid, but for the Pythagoreans, the Platonic school, for mathematics and everything. It's the diagonal of the unit square is an incommensurable number. If you want to find the number, you can see what it is as geometry. It's right there in front of you. But you can't represent it as a number in any finite way. You would have to go to an infinite process.
Why can't you represent it as a number?
Because it involves fatal contradictions if you try. You can't relate the size of the edge to the diagonal. The side of the square to the diagonal of the square.
Didn't we, I forget that, but didn't we all know that in elementary school even? And
yeah, maybe we did, but it was this thing they talk about as the big crisis of the Pythagoreans, that they actually, murdered somebody for revealing this sacred truth. Sacred mystery. But Theaetetus came up with these wonderful ways of being able to use both. Things that are commensurable in power, he calls them. So you can deal with the square root by dealing with the square. And then they are commensurable. And then this became this whole method of what's called the side and diagonal.
Yeah.
And it was this, again, an iterative algorithm that brackets an irrational value with successive estimates that overshoot and undershoot and overshoot and undershoot and overshoot and undershoot, but they get closer and closer and closer and closer as long as you want to pursue it, and they will keep going forever. They will never get there, but they will always get really, 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 really close. So this extraordinary insight into the heart of things,
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like that.
And the first written account of iterative process, iterative algorithm, and that's, we remember all that chaos theory stuff. Well, it was already there,
But no, seriously, why is it so instinct
For me?
that you... No, generally. Well, it is very instinct to me that you get closer and closer and closer and closer and never get there.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think you should. Because what would you do once you got there?
Right.
Like it's
It's
over.
the end of the world.
It's the end of the world. So, I'm glad. No, I just like it from real life.
Yeah.
You know,
well,
just recognizing that once I get there, like what do I do? It's not about doing, of course.
It's
but,
about the journey.
It's about the journey. Like I was telling you, the bliss for me. It is about the path.
That's right.